What's going on, guys? Threat Level Midnight here, and today I just wanted to do a quick video on a range session that I had yesterday. I was a little bit crunched for time, but basically I just want to go over how I have a productive range session, and I think how you can have a productive range session too. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I like to do is to not overwhelm myself with guns, right? Don't bring every gun under the sun out. If you need to put in work on something, you need to do pistol work, then bring a pistol. Bring the pistol that you want to shoot, whether it's a gun that you're shooting in a match, a gun that you carry for work, and identify what kind of shooting you want to do with it, right? So I needed to work some inside the waistband stuff. So I'm not only getting reps with a duty gun, but I'm working inside the waistband because I'm plain clothes about half the time anyways. So that helps me a lot if I just take one gun out, or maybe two tops, where like a carbine and a pistol, if I'm doing those things together, or if I'm just working, duty guns. So next is to hold yourself accountable, and whether that's scoring rings on a target, or my favorite, run off a timer and combine that with like hit zones. Like if you're using a USPSA target, or like a B8, put yourself on a timer. And it's not necessarily that there's any sort of standard to get to, but what it does is it gives you a mark to beat every time. So you run a drill, run a draw on fire, 1 round on target, and see what you do, and then push it faster and faster and faster. And more or less, it's just for you. There's not. I'm not a huge fan of doing, other people's made-up drills to infinity to try to get it into some ridiculous time. I'd rather go out and work on what I need, and then just know where I'm at. So I know that, like on a draw, like inside the waistband, I know that my fastest draw ever was like 0.96 to get a hit in an A zone, which, I went out yesterday and I couldn't do it, but I'm aware of what I could do at one point, so I know what I need to be working on. The next thing is have a plan when you go out there. If you're going out there and you're wondering how to set up your targets and what you should be shooting, you're going to kind of use your precious time out there at the range, trying to think up things to do. It helps to have some things to do, like already in your head, like, hey, I need to work on slow fire. I need to work on just working through a trigger press and keeping my sights aligned, because I use iron sights. So I'm going to shoot a few strings at 25 yards at a bullseye target. That's something that I know that I need to work on, so I went out and I did that. I need to work on my draw speed, so I know I'm going to work a lot of draws just from concealment, just drawing and firing one shot into an A zone, and trying to get my times down, and just to try to get back to maybe where I was before. So if you go out there and you're just kind of like, I don't know, that's how people end up shooting a bunch of trash out at the range. They're like, oh, well, let me see if I can hit that bottle or hit that can, or let's just shoot this dirt or shoot that rock way over there. And as fun as it is to do that, you're not really putting in any good work when you do that. So I think it's important to have a plan, especially if you're crunched for time. So for me, I didn't have a lot of time yesterday. So what I wanted to do is just, hey, I want to go be as productive as possible, and I want to get some stuff done that I know I need to work on, which involves you being self-aware and knowing what you need to work on. So the next thing is to not get sucked into the range theatrics and the kind of theatrical movements where everyone's like it looks cool on video, or people think it looks cool anyways, where you're running and scanning and doing all these little things that are just eating up your time on the range. So you'll notice when I show my videos here, I'm not doing a ton of reloads. I'm running full mags, and when a reload comes, a reload comes. A reload is something that you can work a lot of just on your own time, dry firing, just running at home. So when I'm out on the range, I'm just going to run full mags. If I'm mid drill and I need to reload, then I need to reload. It's not a big deal. And I find that that's the best way for me personally to train. I like to run it with full mags. I try not to download my mags and for specific drills. I just run them full, reload when you reload, and that way you're getting the most out of your time. So the last thing I like to do is just maybe put some things together that isolate individual skills. So I work on draw speed and firing one shot. Maybe I draw and fire 2 shots. Maybe I run a bill drill. If you're crunched on ammo and you have 1 box, 2 boxes of ammo, hey, it's okay to omit a bill drill. You don't want to be blowing 6 rounds at a time. Then shoot double, shoot 2 rounds at a time. And that'll get you an extra draw and an extra rep on the target. And I think that's fine too. And now if ammo's not a factor, yeah, blow out bill drills, shoot a ton of them. But do drills that isolate specific skills, and then maybe at the end of the day, what I like to do is usually kind of put it all together and maybe make like one course of fire, because anyone can shoot sloppy really fast, right? So if you're running and gunning and you can just blow C and D zone hits all over like an IPSC target, and anyone can do that. It's not hard because the targets are huge and you're usually pretty close when you do it. But what I'd like to see is accountability. So on a timer, on a tighter hit zone and really scrutinize your shots. So if you're struggling somewhere where it's like, hey, every time I shoot a bill drill, I'm sending 4 of 6 into the C zone instead of the A, then it's like, hey, you have some work that you need to do. Start running it closer, start running it more controlled, and focus on what you need to focus on. If you're at 25 yards and you shoot a group that's this big, guess what you need to be doing? You need to be doing, hyper focusing on your trigger pull and your sight alignment, and you can work that a bunch of different ways, but you need to identify things you need to work on before you go out there. So go ahead and dive into the range session. It's a quick one. Maybe it took me an hour, and I probably shot 150, maybe 200 rounds tops. Obviously I did some shooting off camera too because I didn't record anything, but let's get into it. You definitely tell right there, I pulled this one. That's shot number 9. That if you split this target in half, my group favors kind of that left half. And usually what I find is if I put too much finger on this trigger, kind of pulls me off to the side a little bit. For me, this is an okay group at 25, but it could always be better. So I know I need to work this a lot because this is pretty loose. 117. 121. 115. 114. 118. 119. Let's see how we did. So really rushed that last one there, put a C-zone shot on, but you can tell we're only at 3 yards here, but I'm just trying to work my draw speed and get consistent A-zone hits. And you can see I'm consistently under that 120, but I am struggling to get under a second. I have a real hard time doing that. 243, and that was pretty sloppy. We're only at 3 yards here, and there's a D and a C in there. This is a reduced size IPSC, so it's only 12 by 18, but that D zone to me is really unacceptable. On a full size, that C might have still been an alpha. So we had a high C zone there, but other than that, we had a nice tight little group there. Go ahead and step back to 5. 5.56 with the reload. All right, so not so bad. Again, we had a high C zone there, but with a reload, interrupted fire. I'll still take that group right there. Oi. Threw one over the shoulder here, and then a B zone hit. The other three, or the other four, were in A zone. I guess running kind of high, shooting a 40 Smith & Wesson here, so need to work on my recoil control a little bit. See how we did. So see, on this drill we had one miss on the steel, but the rest of our shots here are almost all A zones. One's right off the line and one's right off the edge in the C zone here. But hold yourself to a higher accuracy standard. I don't mind using a reduced size target because it's only going to make you better when you go into a match or when you need to use this gun the most.